Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and welcome back to the Coffee Cast, where I feature two awesome players today, EGHuk and mouzHasuObs. And holy crap, the first game was freaking awesome. If you guys did not watch the first game yet, shame on you. Go back and watch that first before watching this one, because spoiler alert, I'm about to tell you what happened. But first, once again, we have Huk spawning here on NASL. Oh, Terminus. Lost the map name for a second there. NASL Tournament. And mouzHasuObs is spawning on the top position of NASL Terminus. Gosh, I cannot say Terminus. And so we have cross positions. That is going to create a very long macro game, kind of like what we saw in the last game, which is very, very curious, as macro game and Protoss versus Protoss generally don't match up too well in a Protoss player's vocabulary. So I'm really excited to see what happens in this game. In the last game, we saw HasuObs win with superior upgrades, really is what it came down to. Superior upgrades, and his tech came a little bit earlier, and that really made the deciding factor in the main battle. And in the end, HasuObs was able to secure a third expansion. Meanwhile, Huk just kind of lost his, and that was the end of that. So I would love to see another long macro game out of these two players, because once again, it is so rare to see a macro game in PvP, and there's a lot that you can learn from watching high caliber games like this. And like I mentioned in the last game, the thing you need to watch is these two gas geysers. If the second geyser gets taken, that is going to tell you that it is not going to be just a standard stupid 4-gate that nobody really likes to watch. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing the 4-gate all that much. It is extraordinarily micro-intensive. However, when all you see is 4-gate for about a year straight in Protoss vs. Protoss, and for the most part, Protoss vs. Zerg, you get a little sick of it. I would just like to mention, look at this stutter step from Huk's probe. Just hitting these mineral batches, delaying the mining as long as he possibly can, and not picking up minerals himself. That really just shows the caliber of Huk. Losing that a little advantage there by gathering minerals back, since we can no longer gather from these patches. But Huk just being super pesky with his probe. Looks like Huk is once again just a little bit ahead in his build order. The second gas is being taken for both players, so it looks like we will more likely than not see a longer term game out of these two players. Stalker, we actually have Zealot first out of Huk. Generally you'll see Stalker, well, Zealot first out of both players. Okay. It looks like Huk is just a little bit ahead in that unit, in the unit count, I guess. He did get his Zealot finished and his Stalker finished first. And here's our first little bit of tech, a robo facility being laid down for Huk. So it looks like we will be seeing some robo play out of Huk. Like I was mentioning last game, one very popular thing for Protoss players to do right now to try to secure a macro lead is to do a 1-gate robo expand, in which you use Zealot, Sentry, Immortal to defend your base. And if you guys can hear that sound, I know you can actually. These watchtowers have awesome sounds on them. Awesome sounds. I'm really enjoying that. I would like to thank the NASL for putting cool sounds in on their watchtowers. So we do have this robo coming up for Huk. Nothing really revealed quite yet for HasuObs. Now, there we go. We do have the robo coming down for HasuObs. Just a 2-gate robo instead of a 1-gate robo. Huk bringing his gateway count up to 3, making that observer to be able to see what his opponent is doing. And in the meantime, we are going to have this Zealot and Stalker moving around the map, just kind of checking things out. Make sure nothing fishy is going on. It looks like the Stalker might run into this Zealot by accident. The Stalker could actually try to come around and pin this I can't say Stalker. HasuObs' Stalker actually could have tried to come around and pin Huk's Stalker to make sure that he got a few shots off, a little bit of hull damage taken. However, did not go for that cutoff, and it looks like we have probes kind of running around the map sporadically. Oh, that's an observer, not a probe. We do have a 4-pylon going down up here. However, HasuObs is going to scout that immediately. The probe is going to go down, and really that's just going to end in being annoying for Huk. Another player showing exactly what they're going to do. Yeah, it looks like we might be seeing Blink play out of Huk, as he is getting that Twilight Council after getting the robo. He has not done anything else with the robo except get that observer out, which is now positioning himself over HasuObs' base. This is what I was talking about last game. These Blink Stalkers, very popular versus Protoss right now. In fact, I'd say it's actually the most popular, the build of choice in PvP is this 1-gate robo into Blink Stalker play. It is very potent. And if your opponent doesn't go Blink, really the only way to hold it off is to do what HasuObs is doing right now, is get Stalker Immortal of your own. So that's good play by HasuObs. HUK needs to make sure not to lose this Observer, because that would be extraordinarily annoying. And it looks like HUK right now is just happy boosting his Stalker count a little bit, getting Blink, deciding not to try to poke that ramp at all, which is probably smart because you don't want to lose anything to this Sentry, which has all sorts of force field energy. He could force field just about all day here. HUK did get a forward pylon set back up, setting up another one over here in HasuObs' third base. Meanwhile, back at home, nothing going on really. Nice little line of pylons. Very, very pretty building placement, I suppose I should say. Blink will be finishing up fairly shortly. It will be finishing up much more quickly than that Robo Bay is. However, the Robo facility pumping out a second Immortal now. Where are these Stalkers for HasuObs? Did they all die? I do not see them. Nope, never mind. They were back in the probe light trying to hunt down an Observer. I think that HasuObs has an idea of what HUK is doing. However, I think HUK is going to be unpleasantly surprised when he sees how many Immortals there are. There are 2 Immortals right now. A couple more Stalkers being warped in, as well as a third Immortal being warped in right now. HUK could be in a lot of trouble if he decides to just try to engage this. And look at this beautiful dance. This is actually just stunning, watching these players just moving back and forth and back and forth. There's really no really good positioning. HUK needs to make sure not to blink up. Very nice blink backwards. However, he lost his Observer in that engagement, so he will no longer be able to blink up or scout the high ground and shoot up. That is going to be extraordinarily annoying for HUK, and that is probably going to force his hand backwards for the moment. These Immortals are going to be doing a lot of damage. But now one Immortal shields have gone down. It looks like HUK might want to try to engage this, take that out. No, instead that Immortal doesn't get pulled back. That Immortal is going to be just fine. Taking a few shots from the high ground, just losing one Stalker now. I don't think that he's lost any others. There's the second Stalker going down, and it looks like HUK, seeing that he is behind in that right, there are too many Immortals here, going to be building an expansion instead, and really getting out of there, taking fairly minimal damage considering there are 3 Immortals on the field right now. Once again, this expansion has gone down for HUK. Colossus production has begun for HasuObs, and we'll probably not be getting that extended thermal lance until he can take a third gas of his own. HUK is going to be content right now, just kind of sitting around on the low ground, making sure HasuObs cannot move out of his base, doing a little bit of damage wherever he can. Now, it looks like HUK's army is going to be moving up towards the ramp again. These Immortals were in a very, very nice position. It looks like there is going to be a cancel on that Nexus, which is a really, really big deal. One, it did delay that Nexus ever so slightly. And now that HUK's Nexus is just finished, every second that he can delay that Nexus counts. And as well as the fact that when HasuObs was forced to cancel that Nexus, he lost 100 minerals. It costs 400 to make the Nexus, and you only get 300 refunded when you cancel that. It is 1/4 the building cost is lost. So that is an extra zealot. That's pretty much an extra Stalker for all intents and purposes. And look, another pylon goes down. That one was not canceled, so that was a full loss. So 200 resources lost, just like that. Now it looks like HUK's army is going to be a little bit spread out here, but with Blink that does not matter too much. And HUK just once again being pesky, picking up here, picking up there, and backing off when he realizes that he cannot really engage. Losing one final Stalker right there. It looks like he might be looking to blink up onto the high ground as HasuObs' army is completely out of position. Yes, he does blink up onto the high ground. Is going to be able to pick off one more pylon, completed 3 now, waiting for his blink to recharge. It's almost done recharging. Going to lose a couple units in there. We go blinking back down the cliff after doing a little bit extra damage. That is 300 minerals of damage done without even a thought. Without really having HasuObs being able to retaliate at all. Losing a probe there, taking a few more shots at the gateway at this pylon as well. In the production tab, we do see a lot of zealots being made for HUK. He just warped in 5 additional zealots. Once again, this expansion is up, making a lot of probes, which is exactly what he's going to want to do at this point. Looks like he is supply block now, as he probably lost a pylon, a forward pylon somewhere, losing a few Stalkers on the low ground there due to the army on the high ground. HasuObs holding this off fairly well, though, considering that he was behind for a little bit there in the army value, as well as the Nexus. What am I looking for? The economy, as he was behind a little bit in economy. Now it looks like HUK. Whoa, that is a lot of zealots on the field. That is 14 zealots for HUK. No charge. However, he's going to be blinking forward, trying to catch this Colossus off guard, and it looks like he is going to do that indeed. These Immortals were doing a lot of damage to the Starcraft in the meantime. It did lose quite a few Starcraft due to that engagement. However, once again, able to pick off one Colossus is very, very important. Looks like HasuObs might lose an Immortal as well. That's going to be kind of close. Blinking up on the high ground, Huk tries to get him to surround on another Colossus, and indeed, he does get yet another Colossus in that engagement. One Immortal is low on shields, but it looks like Huk is not going to be able to engage this much longer, as he has lost quite a few of his units. Only 4 Starcraft remaining at this point in time. Excuse me. Just coming off for a second, still trying to shake that off completely. Very, very nice play by Huk in that battle. Able to pick off 2 Colossus, which is just extraordinarily frustrating for HasuObs. As those Colossus obviously not cheap. Those are 300, 200 each, and that extended thermal lance was not done yet, so those were not even the most efficient Colossus on the field. So Huk doing a very good job in that engagement, trying to pick off this pylon as it would unpower 2 gateways right away, but is not able to get a second pylon going down to make sure that our Toast pylon is not picked off. Still, these 3 Immortals in this army, which is very, very powerful against Huk's composition, as it is mostly Stalker still. Once again, mainly relying on that Stalker force. Huk very content sitting back on just a few gateways here. There is a Twilight Council. Once again, he does have that Twilight Council for Blink. However, I would love to see him tech up into either Archon, well, actually both Archon and Charshot. Looks like Huk is going to be able to blink into the back of the base. There is one pylon here that might unpower. Yes, it would unpower at least the robotic facility. That looks like that robot is going to go down indeed. Trying to pick out the Colossus as well. It's going to be kind of close, but no, instead goes for a sentry and then blinks back down. There we go, blinks back down the cliff. One Stalker does not quite make it. A lot of Zealots once again standing over here for Huk, warping 4 more Stalkers. So it looks like Huk very, very, very aggressive. Let me emphasize that a little bit more. Very aggressive in this game, beating down the rock so he can take up the back entrance. Now losing one Stalker there, a little bit of miscontrol. However, HasuObs said, I have had enough. He's going to be pushing out a little bit, and I can understand HasuObs' frustration in this case, but I still think the best thing is just to sit back and be patient. Even though the Sharks are going to be blinking up in the main once again, trying to pick up the Cybernetic Squad. I don't think they're quite going to get it. HasuObs' army was already pushing back to be able to try to defend against that. 2 more Stalkers do fall down for Huk. So Huk, once again, even though he's losing those, oh my goodness, he has not even taken his 3rd and 4th gas over at his natural expansion. He is going very, very, I would say that is rather all-in-ish of Huk in this battle. Now look at these Zealots are going to be pushing up from the side, trying to get a little bit of a flanking maneuver here. And look, these Stalkers are going to be blinking up once again, trying to take out the Colossus. These Zealots over here are being outnumbered by the enemy Zealots. However, more Zealots more of Huk's Zealots trying to defend all the Stalkers. There's now Huk's Stalkers blinking out. All the Zealots for Huk have fallen. However, all the Colossus for HasuObs have fallen. We do have double Robo Bay right now, double Robo facility, producing 2 Colossus at a time. 1 Immortal did fall. Both Immortals left are wounded quite severely at this point in time. Trying to pick off another gateway here. Huk is just being relentless in his attack. He does manage to pick off 1 gateway, trying to pick away the shields of another gateway to be able to do damage later on. Picking off 1 Immortal there, the weakened Immortal. Very, very nice play by Huk. HasuObs just being whittled down bit by bit, but the supply count, 112 to 77 in HasuObs' favor. Mineral income equal. However, the gas income is where Huk's advantage really lies. Look like that other gateway is going to fall as well. The production just being ripped apart for HasuObs. Once again, Huk just being so pesky. We're down to, I believe, 3 gateways, a 4th gateway now being constructed. However, Huk, for the brief moment of time right now, does have the the production advantage. Trying to push up once again, just pushing up, taking a few shots, blinking backwards. Those force fields not going to be able to do too much against these blink Stalkers. Now Huk gaining a Robo Bay. I always get the Robo Bay and Robo Facility mixed up. Huk now taking a Robo Bay of his own, taking these next 2 gas guys. And it looked like there was another little engagement here. 1 more Stalker falling to the Colossus fire. I wouldn't necessarily say either player is super ahead at this point. HasuObs has had the tech advantage for a while. However, Huk has been able to do quite a bit of damage, but Huk is going to be losing a lot of Stalkers here. Not the best blink back. He did not blink as far as those Stalkers could blink, losing a few Stalkers in that engagement. Continuing to fall back. He might have to fall much further back this time than he has in the past. Taking up this watchtower here, being able to see what's going on. Instead, HasuObs' army moving across along the left side. Will he be able to see this pylon though? It's going to be very imperative that he picks that off, and indeed he is going to see that pylon and pick it off. In the meantime, down at Huk's base, we do have a Colossus being produced, as well as extended thermal lance on the way. Going to be quite a bit away from finishing. Huk is not going to want to engage until that is complete, and we have HasuObs once again boldly taking the 3rd expansion. I think HasuObs is feeling fairly confident in this best of 5 series. He knows that even if he does lose this game, it is not too big of a deal because there are going to be at least 2 more games after that. Twilight Council now being made for HasuObs. It looks like he's probably going to be matching Huck's blink, I would assume. You never want your enemy's army to be more mobile than your own army. However, I also wouldn't be too surprised to see him go charge that Archon like he began to do in the last game. We do have a forward pylon being created by mouzHasuObs. We really should probably see that soon, otherwise he's going to be in trouble. Now this Colossus does not have an extensive thermal landscape, so that is going to be at a disadvantage in this engagement. We do have 4 Colossus. The Stark is getting around, beating down the Colossus for HasuObs. Able to get surround on HasuObs' army, and I think Huk might actually win this engagement. It's going to be extremely close. There are 2 Colossus have fallen now for HasuObs. It looks like a 3rd has fallen now as well. A few reinforcing units being created for HasuObs, but I don't know if it's going to quite be enough. One Immortal doesn't remain on the field. That Immortal might go down. No, indeed, it stays alive with 118 hit points left, and that's going to be a very, very important point in this upcoming engagement. This Colossus is getting chased down for Huk. He cannot afford to have that isolated, however, and there is just not much left for Huk. In the meantime, there isn't much left for HasuObs either, but HasuObs is soon going to have a 3rd base, but that is being beaten down by 5 Zealots, 6 Zealots over HasuObs' 3rd base. Once again, so HasuObs is going to have to fall back to try to defend that, as he just does not have enough at home to try to defend that, and Immortal is not going to be able to do very much against these 6 Zealots. It looks like these Zealots are going to be very close. They are indeed going to be taking out the 3rd base of HasuObs. So that is 4 in the middle, just gone right there, and a lot of mining time that could have been happening gone for HasuObs. So Huk, very, very good game sense, able to take that out. In the probe count, we do see HasuObs very, very far ahead, but he's not going to be able to do too much with that because there are so many probes. This base is just completely oversaturated. We are seeing that 3rd base being relayed down for HasuObs in a 95 to 63 supply in favor of our blue protest player HasuObs. And wow, I need to take a breath. Woo, holy crap. We do have the Colossus favor and the Immortal favor going to HasuObs in this case. Gateway count in favor of our red protest player Huk, though, and that actually can make a difference. It doesn't sound like a big thing. We do have the Templar Archive now going down for the both players almost at the exact same time. Huk just a little bit ahead in that right. That's going to be very important. HasuObs is going to be flying this observer around. I do not know where the Templar Archive is. I do not think that he spotted the Templar Archive. So with Colossus on the field, that's not going to be a huge deal, as Colossus do counter Archons fairly well. However, that is not something you ever want to be in the dark in. It looks like Huk had quite a bit of gas saved up and still does, morphing in 5 High Templar there, now warping those into Archons. So Huk with the first 2 Archons, HasuObs responding with 2 Archons of his own. This observer is going to fly overhead and be able to see that. A little bit of a probe transfer going on for Huk now. Huk very, very far behind in that harvest count. So with the 3rd base now completed for HasuObs, Huk is going to be in trouble unless he can make something happen right here, right now. Warping in a few more High Templar to create more Archons. There was going to be 4 Archons on the field for Huk, with only 2 on the field for our other Protoss player HasuObs. So the next battle is probably going to be the last. Next battle is probably going to be the most important so far in this game. We do have 1 Colossus very, very hurt just on his last leg. For Huk. 1 Colossus also fairly well hurt for HasuObs. It looks like we are about to see the engagement. There's a couple of Zealots being picked off preemptively. HasuObs is able to pick a couple off, which is going to be very important. Every single unit that he can pick off counts. Also whittling down the shield of his opponent a little bit as well. There's 1 Archon getting ahead of the rest of them, and that's not something you want. It looks like HasuObs is going to have very good position. A couple of forces going down. Nothing there to crush the sword field, so the Zealots were delayed just a little bit in trying to get into HasuObs' army. Now it looks like the Colossus count does go in favor of our Protoss player Huk. However, HasuObs does still have 2 Immortals on the field to be able to take care of the Colossus for Huk. The Archon favor was in Huk's favor for a moment. These 2 Immortals running up, trying to take out the Colossus. Huk's fire is a weak one. There are 2, oh my goodness, there's 1 Colossus that went down to these Immortals. However, Huk does have the army advantage at this point. I'm trying to take out this Colossus. It looks like they may be successful. It's going to be really close. Now it looks like there's going to be a reinforcing Colossus coming up for HasuObs. In the meantime, reinforcing Zealots down here near the watchtower, but those are not going to be able to do too much. It looks like this Black Colossus is going to fall. The 1 more Colossus does fall for HasuObs. 6-7 flying out, just dropping a little bit into HasuObs' favor. 4 Zealots on the field. Now 1 Zealot trying to chase down this Colossus. Not able to get it. However, there are 3 Colossus left on the field and 1 Argon. These 4 units for Huk are going to be able to go just be devastating against HasuObs. Now 4 Stalkers as well. Now where are these units that I'm seeing? HasuObs does have the supply advantage. However, I'm not seeing where that last Colossus does fall, and I think that's going to be GG for HasuObs, as all he has left is that probe advantage, which is not going to do him anything in this combat. 45 to 33 probe, so you can take 12 supply off of HasuObs. And you see that both these players are completely even in that right. We do have 2 Archons left in the army for HasuObs, only 1 left for Huk. However, Huk does have Link, so there's that mobility advantage, and he has 3 Colossus, which is something that HasuObs does not have. HasuObs does have a lot of minerals, but not very much gas, so it looks like these Colossus are going to be moving up on the high ground, going to be pulling either this army out of position or doing a little bit of damage to HasuObs' main base, forcing the Colossus for HasuObs to run up into the main base. This is a very, very long game. We are at the 28-minute mark. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the 30, maybe even the 35-minute mark roll around fairly shortly. This observer is still sitting over Huk's base. Now Huk finally trying to secure an expansion of his own, doing a little bit of long distance mining, as there is just not much left to mine over here at his natural expansion. And the natural expansion for HasuObs is going to be running dry fairly shortly as well. HasuObs is going to need to push out and try to take a third if he wants to be able to keep up with Huk. However, HasuObs, I do believe, has the superior army right now, 114 to 81 supply, because he had all those extra minerals banked up from his third base. Now, he's going to have a choice to either push out and try to do a little bit of an all-in. I mean, there's not much left he can do right now, or he can try to take his third base. He has one of these 2 options, and it's going to be defined in the next couple of minutes of gameplay here. Huk definitely has a nice army, though. HasuObs wouldn't be able to just engage this with an A move. He would definitely have to keep an eye on that. The Colossus advantage does go to Huk, which is a very, very big deal. We do have 4 to 3 Colossus, 2 Archon, a lot more Zealots for HasuObs, however. So those Zealots would be the key point in that battle, as everything else is pretty much dead even. One more Archon now being morphed in for Huk, so that's going to be a very key engagement point. And it looks like HasuObs is going to be going for an all-in here. It looks like he has pulled all of his probes. Indeed, he's not mining one bit anymore. It's almost like we're watching a Terran game. Ba-doom-ts. Except there are no mules to bring HasuObs back into the game after he's lost his entire army. So it looks like there are going to be 4 Stalkers caught off guard here. Huk really cannot afford to lose those 4 Stalkers because every single unit counts. Looks like there's going to be 1 shot off. Huk now knows that it's going to be a complete all-in, as there are all those probes there. Huk has definitely seen this. Few last minute Zealots being warped in there. And now here comes the big engagement. It is anybody's game at this point. However, it looks like these probes are going to be annihilated immediately, but there are a ton of Zealots left on the field for HasuObs. It's going to be very, very close. These Zealots trying to get on straight on top of these Colossus. It looks like they will do just that. However, the Colossus being marked back very, very well. It looks like all the Archons have gone down for Huk. 59 to 52 supply. Huk has the one advantage that he can continue to reinforce his army because he is still mining a few minerals out of both of these bases. Not very much though. Now it looks like he's going to be trying to get one last Archon into the fray here. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Very, very even game, but the Colossus count goes heavily in favor of HasuObs now. There's 4 down, Colossus now down to 2. And 1 Archon which is going to be picked up by these Stalkers. Now all the probes being pulled for Huk as well. Trying to get us around, but it's not going to be enough, I don't think. Once again, there are 4 Colossus left on the field for HasuObs. This Colossus is trying to rotate at the enemy Colossus. 2-0 Colossus left now for Huk. 34 to 12 supply. Very, very close game, but I don't think there's anything left for Huk to do, as he is just out of anything to mine with. And there's the GG from Huk. HasuObs showing how great of a player he is, being able to take down Huk in game number 2 of this best of 5 series. My goodness, the menacing Colossus of HasuObs, able to really win the day in that last engagement, and those probes able to delay Huk's Colossus just long enough from shooting what mattered for HasuObs to be able to take the army advantage in that game. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already, please subscribe to me so you can see all the awesome upcoming videos that I have of these players. And also comment on the videos if you would so kindly do that. I definitely take into account everything that you say. I love reading your comments. It is always a joy to get that little email notification letting me know about that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, also one last thing, go to coffeebreak.weebly.com. That is coffeebreak with a 0.weebly, WEEBLY.com, and sign up for the CoffeeCast Open Tournament. That has been delayed to January 13th because I have bad internet connection here at home. I'm doing all these on local recording. Whew! With that, this is Coffee Break, signing out.